It is a beautiful Saturday, and tomorrow is Palm Sunday, and we're heading into the week before Easter. And today's message is, I see your true colors shining through. It's interesting, Cyndi Lauper came out with this song, and one of the telephone companies actually picked it up as part of a commercial jingle years ago. And it was, I see your true colors shining through. What does it mean? I've heard people say, I see your aura. I see you. When I think of colors, I think of characteristics, wisdom, love, honesty, integrity, compassion. Those are your true colors. And you know what your true colors are when you get in a stressful situation. You're always going to go back to what's most natural for you. And then your true colors are going to really pop out. If you are a hothead and you have no compassion, your true colors will show up, and everyone will know just who you are. Well, it's interesting because you all know who Michelangelo was. He was an artist, and he painted one of his most famous piece was the sculpture of David. And I thought it was really interesting because that sculpture now hangs in it has since 1837, in the Academy Gallery in Florence, Italy. Well, when they asked Michelangelo about it, he said it came from a junk piece of marble that was going to be tossed away as garbage. And when he saw this piece of rock, Michelangelo said, I saw David, and wherever I chipped away a piece, all I was doing was chipping away every part of that piece of marble that was not David. Well, what's interesting is the story of David, and most of us know the story of David and Goliath, actually comes from Samuel chapter 15, 16, and 17. And this is the second time somebody chipped away and brought David forth. The original story is David was one of many sons. He was the youngest, and he was a shepherd boy out in the fields. And Saul, who was the king, David was Jesse's son, and Samuel was sent to meet Jesse, because they were looking for a new king. And they looked at all of Jesse's sons, and Samuel kept saying, that's not the one. God was speaking to Samuel. That's not the son. So finally Samuel asked Jesse, well, do you have any more children? And Jesse said, well, yeah, I do. I have a young son who's a shepherd boy. He's out tending the sheep. We'll bring him in. And as soon as they brought this son in, God said, this is the one. But if you read the scripture about this chipping away, it was the one you would have least expected because he was small and handsome and young, and he was just the one that kept the sheep. He wasn't one of the big strapping fine sons. So anyway, I say all that to say this. David became famous for his fight with Goliath. But in preparation of that fight, he had this undying faith. And it was his faith which carried him into battle. It was his faith. And God chipped away all that shepherd boy story, chipped away the fact that he was young, chipped away the fact that he didn't have the strength or brawn that his brothers had. So I bring up the question, and I share this with you, is, are you willing to chip away at the marble of your beliefs that don't support you, that are holding you back? And the second question is, are you willing to be Michelangelo for you, for your spirit, to chip all that stuff away, to get rid of that which no longer serves you? And if you're not, do you have a Michelangelo in your life? Someone that's willing to help you chip this stuff away? Well, what is it that you're actually chipping away? Beliefs? If you look at the Science of Mind textbook, it says, The law is infinite and perfect, but in order to make a demonstration, we must have a mental equivalent of the things we desire. So when we talk about chipping away at beliefs, it's not enough to say, I no longer believe this. Well, then what is it that you do believe? Because you got to reveal something. There has to be something. See, the mind is the fashioning factor, and according to its range, vision, and positiveness will be the circumstances or experiences. What mental equivalents are you holding in mind? For example, if you have a belief of unworthiness, then everything, if that's the mental equivalent you have, everything you experience is going to reflect that mental equivalency. But if you can think of it in your mind, believe it in your spirit, you can achieve it. And this is, as they call about the law of attraction, it is just that. It is a law. You can only get what you believe that you can achieve. You can only have that. You can't have something if you don't believe it exists and if you don't believe that you can achieve it. And it's interesting because that was where Michelangelo was very successful. He could see it in his mind's eye. He could see David in the stone. It was believable to him. And that which the mind can believe, it can achieve. Now, here's where we get into challenges. We go to our logic mind and we say, well, how? That's not for us to say. We need to just be committed to recognizing and honoring our true colors. Now, I'm going to tell you what I see as our true colors on top of wisdom and compassion and love and all of those intangibles. Each one of us is born with a gift. What is your gift? I see that look like, oh, don't ask that question. I remember for years taking workshops and doing all kinds of things because I could not see my gift. I kept thinking my gift needed to look like the gifts of those people that you see in the media. They're either models or writers or vocalists or actors, or they're doing something of notoriety. Well, that's not everybody didn't come here with the same types of gifts. The key is to find what is your true gift. Now, here is how I invite you to find your gift. If you don't know what it is and you have no clue, I will tell you how I discovered it, and this is what I have been taught by my mentor. Your gift is that thing that you do the best with the least amount of effort. Now, what does that mean? I'll give you a for instance. As long as I can remember, I have been a talker. They used to say, oh, Judy-Ann, just shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Well, I was in the 6th grade, and I had a Scandinavian teacher by the name of Miss Scavenius. She had flaming red hair, and she was a large, imposing woman. And every Friday, she had this thing that she would do, and it would be the announcer of the week. And you would take all of the vocabulary words, all 10 of them, and the activities that we had done that week, and you would roll them into this announcement of the week. And she always started with her favorite students, the ones that were her pets. And I would sit there and I would look at these folks and look at them. Well, eventually, toward the end of the 6th grade, she called my name. Oh, honey, and she had a little play microphone, and you would hold the microphone, and you would tell your name, and you would use all of the vocabulary words in a sentence, and you would talk about all the things that you had learned in school that day. Oh, they gave me that toy microphone, and it was on and cracking. It got so good to me, they were trying to unplug a microphone that wasn't plugged in. I went through all of the vocabulary words. They were so good, I went back and did the week before. I kept talking, but what I noticed was I came alive with something that I didn't know I had. And the teacher was standing, I can see her just as vividly, standing there with her hands on her hips, looking at me like, who knew? I pronounced all the words, I spelled all the words, I used them in a sentence. I talked about geography and science and music and math. I went on and on and on. And finally, when they stopped clapping, I knew that I had struck on gold. I took that little feeling and I felt like Barbara Walters, Mary Tyler Moore, and Oprah all rolled into one. I was strutting around for the rest of the day. Yes, I was the announcer. But I say that to say this. It was my natural gift. And fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't have anyone to share it with. So I went home and I just had this glow about me, but I knew nobody at home wanted to hear my little story. But I tucked it away for many years, like perhaps 25 years. And then I was invited to teach a class. And that same feeling came back. And I remembered. And I had scoured and spent lots of money trying to identify my purpose. I did not know that speaking in front of people was a gift. I was never afraid. I didn't realize that it was one of the most feared things. And I would speak in front of classrooms full of people all day for 12 hours a day. And then I went in to do theater, and then I wrote I was having the time of my life because that I had went out looking for, I had eventually chipped away, and there it was. So when you find your gift, even if you don't know what your gift is, I will lend you this. Let your gift for right now just be to feel good. See, this is a funny thing about feeling good. If you don't know what your gift is, and you are just willing to feel good, your gift will emerge. Here's what happens when you allow yourself to feel good. The law of attraction is going to attract that feel good from out there in here. Have you ever seen someone and they just seem to be so happy, you just say, oh, I don't know what they have, but I want some of that. That's that law of attraction. You may not know what their gift is. It may not be, it may be a babysitter. I have a girlfriend, her gift is taking care of children. And she's good at it, and she loves it. And she can look at a baby and tell you what's wrong with the baby. I would still be sitting there scratching my head. So just realize that if you don't know what your gift is, just let your gift be to feel good. Because in feeling good, you're going to call that gift unto you. Recognizing and honoring your gift is the most powerful thing you can do. That's when all your true colors will come shining through. But once you recognize your gift and you know that you have it, there are some things that you have to do. And I know there are some folks in here that know what they are because I've watched you do it. You have to practice, perfect, and peruse that gift. If your gift is singing, you have to practice singing. You have to perfect whatever your voice will do. You have to peruse it. You have to hold it up for examination. And in perfecting it, there is a theory out there now that in order to become competent and good at something, you must invest 10,000 hours. Now, for those of us that came out of corporate America, the annual average hourly number of hours that an employee works is about a little over 2,000 a year. So it'll take you 5 years of doing something every day for 8 hours to really say, I have perfected this. And it only will occur if you keep increasing and raising the bar on your own expectation. Now, here's the other piece that's critical about your light shining through and chipping away at those pieces. Once you identify what your gift is, you start chipping away at it, you start practicing and perfecting it. The best money you could ever spend is to get a coach. Even if you have all the talent in the world. Tiger Woods was a golf prodigy at 5 years old. Even Tiger Woods had to get a coach. And here's the reason why. I will tell you from my own experience. If you just rely on your friends and family, they love you and they are looking through the filter of love. And they're going to say, oh, Mackenzie, you were so good. Oh, JJ, you were so good. They will tell you you're good, and you are. But when you hire somebody to critique you and give you some feedback, they're going to stand back and be objective. And because you are paying them, they're going to tell you the truth. Because when you pay someone for their opinion, they give it because it's their job. But when you just ask your friends, they may not want to hurt your feelings. We have all had those opportunities. Many of us have watched things like American Idol. Great opportunity. You've seen people show up and the judges are sitting there cringing. Who told you could sing? My mother, my best friends, everybody says I can sing. Well, they lied to you. So you need to get a paid opinion, somebody you hire to tell you the truth as you are chipping away so that your true colors will shine through. Because you may think something is a talent and it's not so. I've seen people open restaurants because everybody told them they were really good cooks. And they opened restaurants and people were throwing tomatoes at them. And you wonder why? Because your family and your friends love you. They're going to tell you that. If you want to know how good you are, go where you know no one and practice your talent. The world will tell you the truth. Ask me. I know. This is really important about chipping away and allowing your true colors to shine through. This is really critical. There are no expiration dates on dreams and desires. I've heard people say, well, I would do this, but I'm 45 years old. I would do this. There are no expiration. It's not like milk. There are two things that don't have expiration dates on them. Money and dreams and desires. They don't have expiration dates on them. If you ever dreamed of doing something, you can still do it. The only thing that tells you you can't is those marbled beliefs that you need to keep chipping away at, because that's not the truth of who you are. So don't allow conversations about, I'm too short. There was a guy that they said, oh, he's too short to play in the NBA. He was 5'8", and he was a pro ball player. And he really looked like a dwarf compared to all of these 6'8" guys. But he didn't allow anyone to tell him that he couldn't do it. There are here's a good one. You all remember Susan Boyle? Yeah. This woman had lived in a little village. It was her natural gift. How long did she sit on it? But when she came out there, everybody was laughing and when she opened her mouth, they were like, oh my God. Let your true colors shine through. Look, this is what I know. God gave everyone some gift. It is in your soul, it is in your spirit, and it is inherently upon you to chip away at it. Because there are people that didn't recognize their own gifts. They tried to squash yours. Oh, sit down somewhere. You can't. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. You can't act. They told Lucille Ball that. You need to find a job because, this acting is not for you. She went on to have a series. They told Oprah that. Oh, you need to change your hair. You need to change your name because nobody will ever be able to say Oprah. Stop buying into someone else's definition of you. That has nothing to do with who you are. In chipping away so that your true colors can shine through requires one critical piece, and this is your teachability index. Now, I have a coach that is sharing this with me, and I'm going to share it with you. Are you willing to learn? And what are you willing to give up? See, learning, some people, I already know that. As soon as you say, I already know that, you have shut down your teachability. And you can't teach people something if they already know that. Oh, I already know how to dance. I already know how to sing. I already know how to speak. No, I don't see that as a reality if you want to keep growing. Because as soon as you say, I already know that, there's no room to teach you anything. You have shut the doors. And the other piece about what are you willing to give up? If you look at anyone that is good at something, they had to give up something. They had to give up television. They had to give up free time. They had to give their money to get coaching. Oh, there's a price that comes with everything. And it's interesting because when someone makes it and they've chipped away all these layers and they've polished up the marble of their craft and they've stepped into their greatness, people come out and say, oh, he just made it. Nobody knew that Tyler Perry had been doing plays for 10 years and no one showed up. He has a YouTube video out and he says, this is the story that people interview me and they never want to tell. He says, I did this from 1992 to 1999. And he talked about renting a theater with 1,200 seats. And only 30 people showed up, and those were his family and friends. And he would save his money, and the next year he would do it again. And it would be the same 30 people. He said, I got up and I did the same thing year after year. After year, after year. He says, your desire to be all that you can be has to be stronger than the evidence that you're looking at. See, the evidence will tell you, oh, you're not good enough. That's not always the truth. So as you're letting your light shine through, remember you have to stay in there doing your own work. I talked about recognizing and honoring your gifts, honing your gift, and most importantly is feeling good. Just feeling good about who you are and what you're doing. The limits of our ability to demonstrate depends upon our ability to provide a mental equivalent of our desires. Now, here is what I'm going to give you as homework. Create a dream book. This is a loose leaf binder. You can put pictures in it. Some people nowadays, they shorten and call it a bucket list. Write down the things that you say you want. If you want to be singing on stage somewhere in front of thousands, write that down. Put it down so you can see it. Because as soon as you take something that is burning back here and write it down, not type it, write it, handwrite it, you start breathing life into it. You start creating space for it to exist. And what's important is, as you are learning and allowing your light to shine through, avoid people that cast shadows on you. Because, there are folks that have baskets with shadows. These are the people that will talk negatively to you, talk negatively about you, and will say, oh, you can't do that at your age. Of course you can, because your dreams have no expiration date. So write down in your dream book the things that you say you want. If it's a mate, write it down. Because in this universe that we live in, it's like a restaurant. They all have food. And you can go in and say, well, I want something to eat. Well, what would you like? I don't know. You might get something you like. You might not. But if you can be specific about what it is you want, the universe will get specific about conspiring to give you what it is that you say that you want. And remember, your true colors are your gifts, your passion, your integrity, your desires, all shining through you. For some people, you will see them and they are so alive with what it is that they do. You just see it. It's like watching these two sing, these three sing. She can sing all by herself and get happy. Now, that's called being alive with your music. You watch Mackenzie, he starts to dance. It gets good to him. That's his gift. Carly will close her eyes and go to that secret place. That's when you're tapping into whatever your gift is. So remember, always allow your true colors to shine through. That is who you came here to be. That is who God commissioned you to be. It is yours by birthright. You don't have to ask anyone's permission to be authentically you. Who can give you permission to be a better you than you? So go within, do your own work, and always be teachable and reachable. I am Judy-Ann, Davis Young, Miss Bertha's baby girl. And now we're